Thank you for checking out Mixtape Stories. Thank you for coming in. Dave, we're talking Christmas songs with Cody.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Great. I feel good.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. Yeah. I'm grateful that I was chosen for a Christmas episode.
It was serendipitous because I realized our last episode is going to be released on Christmas. I'm like, it'd be cool to do a Christmas episode. And then literally 2 days later, you release a Christmas song.
Yeah.
An original Christmas song.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to get into it too much, but the reason why I chose the songs that I chose is because they're all original Christmas songs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, it was. I actually don't spend too much time on social media, and I just wanted to promote it because it just came out. And yeah, so I reactivated my Instagram account to just promote the song. And so you reaching out was really cool. It's wow, in a matter of minutes. So it was really, it was really cool.
I mean, for one thing, it's a good song.
Thank you.
All your stuff is good, but it's something we'll probably talk about more when we get into the details of the songs, but you don't really see a lot of original Christmas songs nowadays, and it's usually more of covers or kind of different genre versions of old classics.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, everybody's take is really interesting. I wanted to try to write an original Christmas song, and I actually wrote the song about I would say maybe 2 years ago, originally demoed it, and I was just I'll shelve it and see what happens. And this year just happened to work out. But yeah, I just, I kind of just wanted to challenge myself and see if I could actually write something that I liked and that hopefully other people like. I mean, that's, I think, the most important thing. But yeah, it came out really cool. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's surprisingly fun. It's one of those things where you don't want to get be too hard on yourself, but at the same time, you just hope that everyone digs it. So, but yeah.
No, absolutely. So the song is called "It Must Be Christmastime." It's available on Spotify. I assume anywhere else you can get music.
Yeah, anywhere you can stream. I mean, I would have loved to. I mean, maybe in the future, I can get a physical release on it, maybe a 7-inch, and then I could do a weird Paul McCartney B-side. I mean, one of the songs obviously is "Wonderful Christmastime," but the B-side to that song was it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, super weird, but I don't know. It's just maybe it'll happen. Maybe it will. Maybe this will put something out there.
Yeah,
someone will
cool.
see it. Yeah.
It'd be a cool 45 to have. I've got a Rich Hands 7-inch set.
Yeah, is it red?
I don't think so.
No.
It's been a while since I've listened to it.
No, it's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. No, but yeah, we put one out that was red, and it was the Heartbreaker single. So it was they tried to make it.
It was Teenagers.
Red.
I remember that.
Oh, Teenager. Okay, so Teenager I think was white or
that sounds right.
Has a kind of splatter or something on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do a Christmas single, even a single or something like that. Just to have something physical of it would be really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. When you're writing a Christmas song, are you when you wrote this song, and then also when you're listening to these kind of classics, what do you think makes a good Christmas song? What makes a Christmas song to begin with? Does it just have to be about Christmas, or do you have to get?
Well, the first thing you need is sleigh bells, obviously. Well, and to kind of the funny thing about the song too is that there's not very many sleigh bells in it. It's only one part where I reference the word sleigh bells, and Pat, who played percussion and drums on it, that's when he shakes a violin. I don't mean to that's when he shakes the sleigh bells, and so it's not super prevalent, but I would say that that's one of the first things, musically, I guess. But I think really trying to incorporate. I mean, not only after cliches, at least lyrical, and just things that kind of make it feel like Christmas to you. That's what was important to me. So I just, was just kind of going down the list of stuff that made me feel okay, if I heard this song out of season, would I feel Yule-ish, would I feel this is going to get me in the spirit or move me in some way? That's it. I really didn't think too much in terms of how or what I wanted to say. I just wanted it to try to evoke the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think those are the two, I guess, important things is one, sleigh bells, and two, you're evoking some sort of spirit that you're conjuring up some like Christmas spirit or something.
Yeah, and
Christmas
I think
ghost.
yeah, with the 5 songs you picked, they're kind of all within the same time range, but they are very different in the artists themselves. You've got a little bit of genre mishmash, which is kind of cool. It's good to see like there's more than one way to do a classic pop Christmas song.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know if it's like I don't know how people view Christmas songs in general. Specifically like original Christmas songs or like contemporary bands doing original Christmas songs. I don't have any gauge on that, but I still feel like it's fun. I think it's cool. Whatever, if you dig it, then totally. But I think like I wish more people did them. I think it'd be really cool. I don't know if it's like not in fashion to do them at all, but I don't know. I mean, I think it too. Like, you get at a point too where like it's like I don't know. I'm just doing at this point what I feel I like, and I feel like is important. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of these artists now, I think anybody who's worked in retail has a little bit of PTSD from any Christmas song, whether it's classic or like more contemporary pop stuff. And
sure,
going through your list, especially, I worked at Big Lots for a while. I worked at Circuit City and Best Buy.
Okay,
so,
cool. Do you know? Yeah, you've been through the
gambit of it all.
The Christmas gambit, yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, I don't have necessarily it's also been quite a while. It's been, I think, over a decade since I last worked in retail. So
okay, yeah. Same.
Either I've had enough time to like get away from it, or it never really bothered me that much to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. Like, at least having, if you think about it too, like every year you have 11 months of distance from it essentially. So it's like. It's enough to where like it comes around and I wouldn't say it feels new again, but it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like this is what we should be listening to maybe. I'm not saying like no like you're not listening to Christmas music like Thanksgiving Day comes and you're not like from Thanksgiving to like December 31st. Like not saying you have to listen to Christmas music that whole time, but I think like it's good to put on. Like it's, touches here and there.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely an aspect of like when like it putting on, especially in the event that you have something like on CD or record or anything, like putting it on it's like the equivalent of putting up your tree. Like it feels like you're really painting the picture
exactly
for everything. Like it makes me want to like have cocoa or something.
Yeah, I totally agree. It has the same effect too with movies. Like like playing whatever you feel is like a classic of the season, or whatever you revisit. And it's the same thing. It goes hand in hand for sure. And I think like trying to kind of encapsulate that in the songs too, it's, it makes it that much better and that much easier to like move you or get you in the spirit.
Yeah, for sure. So the first song you picked, speaking of movies, is in one of my favorite like Christmas movies, Home Alone 2. It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Christmas All Over Again. Mm-hmm. I had no idea this was Tom Petty before you like sent me this list.
Really?
I've heard this song so many times. I've watched that movie.
That's beautiful.
So many times.
That's
and then
awesome.
I hear it, I'm like, how did I not know it's Tom Petty? It's clearly like sounds like him.
Yeah, and I think in the Home Alone, I was about to say Halloween too. Totally wrong. In Home Alone 2, I feel like they really chop up that song. So like I think they hit like maybe a chorus and then they kind of do like an opening and closing instrumental thing, and they kind of like mash it together for that one. It's like where he's like going on the airplane or whatever, right? Or he's in the airplane or something like that. Yeah. So it's like it's pretty quick. So if you're just like kind of mindlessly watching the movie, I don't think you would pick up on it. But yeah, once you kind of like actually like get into it, it's like, oh shit, it's like it's a solid Christmas song.
Yeah, and it's funny because it takes place when he puts his headphones on. It's like diegetic because like he's listening to that song, and then he's not hearing that he's going to New York, like, and it's like all over again. Like, oh, this is Home Alone all over again.
It's perfect. Yeah, like they use it. They use the song so well. Like whoever was doing like the music direction or strategic, they did a really good job. I love when movies do that too. Like. And they kind of put you into the situation and you don't really realize until like you actually think about, oh yeah, he's doing this. This is a sequel, and this is just like everything is repeating. Like
it gets a little meta a little bit.
It definitely does. Yeah.
So this song was originally released on a 1992 compilation called "A Very Special Christmas."
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Jeff Lynne oversaw the production of it.
Yeah.
From obviously he knows Tom Petty from his Traveling Wilbury days, and
yes, they were on that run of like records that Jeff Lynne produced, like from his solo record, up until I think they had just got off into The Great Wide Open, which was like 91. So that was like the last thing I think that Lynne produced up until that point. Yeah. So I mean, it has that Lynne production, like it's got the, that's actually another reason why I picked it, because a lot of the songs on this have that almost, big Phil Spector Wall of Sound kind of production.
Yeah.
And those are things that I really, really enjoy and really like. Although, I mean, I tried to imitate it the best I could on the Christmas song that I did, but again, it was just like a very small recording, and I didn't want to like drown anything out too much. But yeah, I mean, that production style is one of my favorites. Lynne and Petty and the Heartbreakers, like, it's like an endless grab bag of inspiration and influence,
Yeah, it's so funny to like look. I mean, the Wilburys are essentially like the Avengers of that era of like music, especially rock music. And
it's funny. I've never heard it compared like that.
There's actually a joke because the Complete Unknown's coming out, the Bob Dylan bio, and Timothée Chalamet, who's playing Bob Dylan, said he'd love to like be Bob Dylan in other people's movies. And
that'd be hilarious.
Someone made a joke like at the end credits of A Complete Unknown, someone as Jeff Lynne comes up, it's like, oh, I'm here for the Wilbury Initiative. Like it's like an after credits
That
scene.
would be perfect, man. That's great. On a side note, how do you feel about biopics?
Walk Hard ruined him for me.
I feel like it's hard not to. I don't know if it's like this thing where it's like if you play it too straight, then it like seems funny. Like, it's like maybe, but if you kind of just like maybe loosely play it, I don't know. Obviously I'm not an actor, but it's I'll just say this. If there's a biopic, I'll probably watch it. And whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter to me. Like if it's someone, especially if it's like an artist that like I genuinely like, I'll definitely watch it. So
yeah, I prefer it when it's like a moment in time. Like this movie is not about, like if this movie is about an artist I like, it's not about their whole life. It's about this one time when they were trying to get this record, and you don't see a lot of flash. You don't need the origin story necessarily.
I totally agree. Yeah.
There's Ethan Hawke, I think.
The Blaze Foley movie?
Which one?
Was it the Blaze Foley movie?
He did a Chet Baker movie, and I want to say he also produced, maybe it was Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle starred in this Miles Davis movie that was partly fictional, partly about a certain point in time. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the way to do it, to where it's not a rehash of like, from rags to riches type of story, because you just see that so much.
Yeah, and that's definitely overdone, and I think that like having like you said, having it a moment in time, specifically like what I believe is what they're doing in the Dylan biopic, right? It's like
when he went electric,
Newport Festival, to the going electric. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think that's like the best way to do it. Yeah, you don't need the whole story.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's two biopics that are, one's out now, one's coming out. One is of Robbie Williams. Who it's a biopic, but he's being played by a CGI monkey. And it's it's like obviously like a metaphor, like I'm your monkey, I'm dancing, dance monkey dance type of situation. And then Pharrell is doing a biopic that's made of Legos.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely an interesting choice. I mean, honestly, I'll probably watch both of them. Yeah, I mean, because that sounds really interesting, and that's like not a take that people have done. I mean, Legos, all right, that's cool, very interesting.
It's fully animated.
That could be cool though. I mean, have they ever done a fully animated biopic?
Not that I can think of. I'm sure there has to be something.
I mean, other than like, well, it's not really a biopic, but when Mike Judge did those like Tales from the Tour Bus,
those are great.
Those are solid.
Yeah,
great. The country ones were great. The funk ones were so good. The George Jones one, man, was so good. They said he would like sit in bed and like eat a raw potato. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, I really like those. I don't know if there has to be. I feel like there has to be at least something, even if it's like a short film.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe he's, carving a new path for
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Animated biopics, which seems like it might be easier to do, but it might be harder to sell the, I don't know. I mean, you can get emotional for animated movies, I guess, but maybe the human factor is what helps people can make those connections,
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is
or the physical, sorry.
You have more wiggle room to kind of make it more like surreal. The surrealness of everything, it makes it could make it more interesting. I don't know if it will succeed, but
you know who did that pretty well? I can't remember the director who did the most recent like Bowie thing, the Moon Age Daydream.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw that, but that was very like kind of just frenetic and kind of like a very interesting take on the a very interesting take on like how you can do like a story in a non-linear way.
Yeah.
So it was like really impressive. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but it's like very.
I've heard good things.
I can't even describe it in a way that's going to make anybody want to see it. So like, I mean, it's just super interesting. Oh, wow. It's just super interesting and like a cool take. I think it's an original take on something, which I guess it's not a biopic. It's more of a documentary, but with like, it's like slices of his life that are just like, it's chaos, it's chaotic, and it feels a lot like this Tom Petty song, dude. It feels frenetic, and it feels like day of Christmas. You're scrambling, you're trying to like, figure out what you're going to get somebody, but at the same time, you're comforted by the fact that like it is the holidays and you're going to be around your family, or you have that kind of, and if you're not around your family, then you have something like, maybe that grounds you in feeling not spiritual, but feeling the spirit, dude.
Yeah. It does feel like hearing this song, maybe because I associate it with Home Alone 2, it feels like he wrote this after watching the first one, because he's talking about like distant relatives and then like, mom got her shopping done. And I just see all these people running around this house, and like this song is like describing what is going on with the pizza's here, and then you need to pay the pizza guy, the cop is here,
Yeah. That's exactly how it makes me feel. Whenever I listen to it, every single time, like that's the kind of feeling that it evokes for me. It's like that like mad dash kind of scramble. I can relate to it so much because my mother was like that. Like she was like last minute everything, and she still is. And she's a procrastinator, and like she would be like Christmas Eve going out and getting gifts, and so like I can imagine that. I can imagine my mom like running through a mall and like trying to get last minute stuff because she planned it so poorly,
That's literally me. Like, I just finished shopping. We're recording this on the 14th. I finished Christmas shopping yesterday. That is the earliest I've ever finished Christmas shopping before.
Usually it feels good?
Yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm just like, there's no way I'm actually done.
It's like leaving the house without your, whatever you have on, at least your phone or something like that.
Or
the garage door. Man, that's every time, dude. I we just moved to a new house.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. We've been there about a year, and we actually use the garage to park our car, one car in there. And dude, every time I drive down, I'm like maybe 2 blocks from my house. I'm like, the door's open. And like, I have to like, this is a good reminder that I need to get like some sort of camera that's like facing the garage so I can at least like look at it. But yeah, I mean, it makes you feel like, I mean, just the chaos, the frenetic energy that Christmas brings, which is also that, and like the, I don't know, I guess like the calmness of the fact that like you're around maybe the people that you love, or like you try to make it special in a way, but like we're doing this all over again. Like here it comes, like you can't, it's just like, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. Here it comes. Like it's Christmas all over again. Like it's that time of year, like.
I think he does a really good job of kind of getting both of those emotions in, where there's this kind of like exasperation, but it's also like, but things are all right.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna be cool no matter what, or regardless of what's going on in everyone's lives. And I think that's like a really cool sentiment. I think like him being able to say that, and I mean, it's just like cool Tom Petty fashion, like he's just a cool guy, and he's just like, And the cool thing about this song too is that all the stuff, because it's like there was like 2 volumes of this. Like I don't know if it was the previous year or the year after. But he was the only one who did an original. If I'm not mistaken, he's the only one who wrote an original because he was just like, I don't want to cover a song.
There were a bunch of other covers. I can't remember if there's any other original ones. Yeah, this is the second version of it. I think the first one was released in '86, so it was a few years before.
Okay, yeah.
But I can't remember who was it. I think it was Tommy, or not Tommy, Iovine, the
Jimmy Iovine.
Jimmy Iovine, yeah.
Yeah, the producer.
I think his dad was sick, and he kind of did this as a tribute. I can't remember the full story about it, but that's how this compilation got started.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think also, I mean, it's really hard for Tom Petty to do anything and not be cool. But I feel like the way he went at writing this song is very like it takes away from the cheesiness of writing a Christmas song, or at least the perceived cheesiness of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's in only a way that Petty could do it. I think.
Yeah.
He just comes across to me. I mean, I'm sure for a lot of other people, but just like a genuine, down to earth, like salt of the earth kind of person. Like, so in his songs, it comes across that way, and I think that it's relatable in a lot of ways. Like things are specific yet vague enough for people to like latch onto.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's really cool.
One last fun fact about this: he wrote this song on a ukulele that George Harrison gave him.
So cool. And like, I think I even saw something about how I don't remember if this is he was just like, yeah, this thing is like, it's not very, like, it doesn't look cool, like this instrument, but he's like, it's actually a really cool instrument. It's like, I don't have a ukulele, but I can imagine, I mean, it's like, super handheld, super travelable, and you could just mess around with it. And I mean, that's cool. I mean, the fact that he wrote it on a uke, like one of the best original Christmas songs, at least of the last 30 years. I mean, we're not even going to mention the Mariah Carey song.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's really cool on a uke,
So I've been working on my transitions, and I mentioned George Harrison to get to your next song.
Perfect.
Paul McCartney's "Wonderful Christmastime." So this is a song I like it, but a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I got to be honest. I don't know if I've met anybody that hates it. And I don't know if that's because I don't talk enough Christmas music with people, dude. Like, it never really comes up a lot, but I feel like I've never met anybody that hates it, like with a passion, but I've seen I always say, like, I've seen the things that people are like, I mean, come on. Like,
I think there's a sense of like, when you have like in professional sports, you have teams like the Chiefs or the Warriors back in the day, and they're always winning. Paul McCartney Wings had just ended, and then this is his first solo. So it's just like, can this guy like please like just like not be in my radio? I guess maybe that's part of it. I can see that, and I think it's what's pretty interesting about this song to me, like just in the scope of like his career, I guess, would be like him coming off the tail end, or not coming off. Well, Wings is kind of like disintegrating or whatever was going on. And then he gets like kind of bored and starts like doing the home recording stuff for like McCartney 2, that record, which in my opinion, McCartney 2 is like probably one of my favorite McCartney records. Like it's so weird, and it's just him like letting loose and having fun. And that's exactly what I think this song is. Oh yeah.
I think it's just like him having a good time experimenting in his home studio in his house, just like messing around. But it's still like, in all honesty, like even the music video, I don't know if you've seen the music video for it, but it's like him just kind of going around like with his band. They're like in a pub, singing with people. And it really like, regardless of how like, I don't know, maybe silly people take the song or think the song is, it really does like evoke Christmas spirit, like in a very present way. Like we're here now, like we're just having a good time, like that's how I feel when I hear this song. Like it makes it's like one of the most present songs next to one of the other songs I chose on this list.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, the opening synth is definitely probably a sign of that experimentation, because I think up to that point it was used in that specific type of synth was used in a Doobie Brothers song, and then that Kim Carnes song, Betty Davis Eyes.
Okay, yeah.
So I think this might have been like the third popular song to use it, and he was just kind of messing with it. Mm-hmm. Every single instrument on this, with the exception of some of the backing vocals, I think, were done by Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
So he has full rights to the song. Apparently, he makes about $400,000 a year on this song in just 1 month.
And people hate it, dude. You know?
He just keeps winning.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't need it at any point.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, it's impressive. I mean, like I said, I feel like it's really him just having fun. And I think that, and he's taking a swing too. I feel like that period of his career, you know, doing the song and then the McCartney 2 record, I really, really appreciate and love when like musicians, songwriters, singers, or whatever just take swings. I really love that. Whether it's like making a weird record that nobody will probably ever like, but it's just maybe for you, you know, and you had a blast doing it. I think that's really cool. And I think that's what he's doing here. And I just think it's important. And it's like a period where, I don't know, I admire it a lot. It's cool.
Yeah. And I mean, the song itself, it's something that you would hear it's literally in a cartoon. It's in a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer cartoon that came out in 98, like a later one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I've never seen that one, but I was searching. When I do my research, I like to do different types of, I like on TikTok sometimes to see if people have personal, and there's one person talking about how like she associates this song with that cartoon because that was her introduction to it.
Wow.
So it's that came out
see that.
like 18 years after the song was released, or actually more than that, like 20 something years.
I feel like that's like a good measure of, I guess, like, I don't know if that's also like just because the advancement of like how easily available music is now, but also like maybe how things stand the test of time too. Like, I mean, obviously it came out a long time ago, and I feel like the Petty song too, I want to say, like, in all honesty, I feel like that one kind of flies under the radar in terms of like what would be considered a classic Christmas song. Maybe because it's like too new, but it's like 30 years old, plus. But I feel like that's like a good measure of how like good a song is too. Like, but also, I mean, I guess it's people coming to it different times in their life. I mean, I feel like how a lot of these songs are so ubiquitous with Christmas, people tend to like only think of them as this, you know, and kind of shelve them in a way that's just like, or just write them off maybe. But I don't know. I mean, they're great.
I think with the Petty thing is 3 years later, 3 years later is the Mariah Carey song. So I think that gets overshadowed by the juggernaut that is All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah, I saw something that like Mariah Carey, I mean, you know, she wanted to like, gosh, I can't remember exactly what it was, but wanted to like coin herself like the Queen of Christmas or something like that. Yeah. Which I guess didn't happen because no one calls her the Queen of Christmas.
That song charts every year and like around this time, and it's one of those things. It's so like it's a lot more complicated than it sounds too. I want to say, I think I heard it's like in 7/8, like it's in a weird time signature. It might be 6/8 makes more sense because that's very Christmassy, but I think it might be in like a weird like 7, maybe 5/8.
I no joke like purposely avoid that song if I can. And it's not because I hate it or anything like that. I don't know. That's one I think I need a break from in terms of like just, how ubiquitous it is. Omnipresent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
With the Paul McCartney song, I was reading an interview with him and he was talking about how he's kind of like what you mentioned earlier. He likes the idea of that, like, writing a Christmas song because this is only really going to be popular around Christmas. And it becomes kind of like a bookmark of a way of like, this is how you know we're getting into that season. And it reminds him of like the different things, different traditions and things that you deal with in Christmas. And then this interview asked him about, I didn't know about this, but apparently there's like a theory that this is low key like a witchcraft song because people misheard. Yeah. The moon is right. It's like they think it's the moon is right.
Yeah.
So they asked him about it and he like laughed it off.
Yeah. And I've read I tried, you know, I've looked because I have his lyrics book that he published a few years back. I think it was like in 2020 or something. And I even tried to look in there because he only selects, I don't know if you have it, but he only selects like, it's A through Z, obviously, but it's only a few songs per letter, right? So, but Wonderful Christmastime is not on there. And I was like, how? But I guess it makes sense because, maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously so much coverage on everything he does because of who he is that I can't imagine him wanting to write more about why or the background of the story that isn't somewhere you can like Google or you can YouTube it or something like that. So maybe you just have a personal story attached to it. But I was like really hoping it would be in that lyrics book. But I like that too. And that kind of that thought process is like exactly why I wanted to do a Christmas song, that maybe in not now, obviously, but maybe in like, who knows, 30 years, it'll like be something that people are like, wow, this is cool. They put it on. I mean, that's like I said, I mean, that would be the dream. I don't know. Hopefully I'm around to see that, but, but either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever your connection to music is like a personal thing, so however, you just cherish or celebrate that song is like completely yours, so.
Yeah. That's the thing too. I think that's part of the reason why we started this podcast is just because there are songs that everyone's heard, but it means something different to everybody. It could be something that is pretty basic and universal. It could be something more specific. I've got friends, we've got friends in bands, and my nephew was a baby. There were certain songs we played from some of our friends' bands that would put him to sleep. So there's I always associate that, and everyone has a story about that, about songs, and that's definitely what we're trying to get into. And I feel like this is why Christmas songs are so like omnipresent, like you said, because everyone has this connection. Like this could be a specific song that they're used to hearing. I mean, in both of these songs' cases, I heard them so much that I forget they're there. Yeah,
they live in this like they live in the world with everything else, and it's like, if you're not like taking a second to, I wouldn't say like if you're not taking a second, but if you're like if you're present and you think about it, it's like, whoa, like this can have an impact in a way or something, And I think that's what is so cool about that song is that Wonderful Christmastime is that it feels present, like it feels now.
Yeah.
Like regardless of the fact that it was written, 40 years ago, 42 years ago, whatever it was, like it still feels like if you hear it, it goes, oh yeah, this is exactly how I feel right now. Or, like it's one of the most present songs. It's really cool.
It's totally evergreen. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I thought was interesting too is that he was the third Beatle to put out a Christmas song. John Lennon had Happy Christmas. George Harrison had Ding Dong. I like Happy Christmas a lot, but that feels more like, even though it is literally a Christmas song, it feels like a New Year's song. I hear Audling saying the melody of it, and it just feels like looking back on the year as opposed to like celebrating.
Exactly. That's actually a great way to put it. It's almost maybe a retrospective in a way.
Yeah.
Instead of like, that's a great way to put it. Other than it being like a present song or something that's looking at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like with Wonderful Christmastime, like we've said, like it really is, it paints the mood. It paints a picture.
Yeah, does it so well. And Ding Dong is cool though too. And it's like kind of buried on on Dark Horse, that record, that George Harrison record. Nobody, I don't know if, I guess unless they were like really steeped in Beatles kind of stuff, I don't think they would ever get that was
I wouldn't have named it off
Christmas
of like,
it's
this
cool
is
that
a trivia question.
Yeah, it's really cool that you brought that up though. Like, and it's like, the lyrics are like super, like just tight and, bare. And I love that too about a song, like, they're saying ding dong, like, and to come full circle, Paul McCartney uses the ding dong in his song, which is cool.
I feel like it has to be like a reference to the George Harrison song, but I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe.
Like an homage in a way.
That would be cool if it was, but either way on its own, it still makes it feel like, oh, like you're at your house and someone's coming over.
Yeah.
And it's like, it still makes it feel like, it could be that, or it could be both, or it could be just it's just parallel thinking or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm sure he heard that song, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're aware of each other, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So Beatles are obviously one of the biggest bands of all time. The next song is from a band that I like know to name, but I can't name an actual song. It's Wizzard. It's Roy Wood.
Mm-hmm.
You chose I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day. That's just a bop, man. I just love the horns. I love the sax on it. This is one of the songs. If we ever do a sax episode, I wouldn't be surprised if this is on there.
Yeah.
It was released in December of '73. They set out to be like the number one Christmas song, and they got number 2
next to Slade.
Yeah.
I know. Which is funny because, in all honesty, like, what's the Slade song called?
It's just called Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
But the Slade song is like way more anthemic, I feel like. I know it was like, it was Christmas 73 or December 73 or whatever. And then, they got beat out. And I was like, man, what a bummer. Like, I mean, Slade is fine, but Roy Wood in terms of like what an eccentric character he is, but also who he's been involved with, like being a part of the Move with Jeff Lynne and then them going off and doing Yellow together and him separating from that to make Wizzard. And then go on his own. I feel like Roy Wood is for sure an underappreciated songwriter. I'm sure a lot of people don't know who he is, but I mean, it's a great song. And also like in the first like 4 seconds of that song, somebody like blows a fart raspberry in the mic. Did you hear it?
I got to listen to it again.
It's like, the first 3 seconds, it's like, they're doing like the high voice, like he's talking to the kids, and then someone just like blows a fart like in it.
It's feels hilarious. Like the band from the Muppets playing,
100%.
Especially watching the video.
100%. It feels like something cut out of like a Jim Henson thing, for sure. Yeah, and I think I love that aspect of it, and the fact that it has just great production. Like the production is awesome. It sounds big. It sounds Christmassy. It's got, again, one of the markers of old songs and Christmas songs that I like is that big, almost like Phil Spector sound.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it's so long too.
It's a party. Like it's just so layered. And, when we started this podcast, I mentioned that they're all within the same era. You've got like 30 years between these songs. I didn't even realize that because it feels so condensed. Yeah. One thing that Roy Wood, when they asked him in an interview why he wrote this song, is because he thought that Christmas songs had become unfashionable. And this was probably 10 years after like the heyday of the like, the bop sound, the girl band sound, the Spectre sound, Exactly. So, and then this comes out shortly after, Wonderful Christmastime. So there's different little eras where they kind of pop up, and maybe we're on the precipice of a new era of Christmas songs.
I would love to be on the on the front of it. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really, in all honesty, I haven't really like sought out any contemporary Christmas stuff. I was hoping that people would send me their Christmas songs because of this, but I've yet to get anybody to send me any Christmas songs. But I mean, it's one of those things too. Like, maybe it'll spark something. Who knows?
It's still early. I mean, it's
still early. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see in 30 years.
So the like kind of way they got the name of the song is Mike Burney plays sax for Wizzard, and he had been doing more like ballroom kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Roy Wood asked him to join the band, and he was just so happy to be doing something like Wizzard that he would tell him like, this feels like Christmas every day. So that's kind of led to like the title of the song.
That's really cool.
There's a lot of really fun interviews with everybody in the band. Everybody, not just in the band, but all the personnel from that day. People who weren't necessarily in the band.
Did they interview the kids?
They interviewed one kid.
Really? I'd love to hear if you have anything on that.
Yeah. So it was a little girl when they interviewed her in the '90s. So she was an adult by then. But
was it the little girl that kisses his cheek at the end of the music video?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if because I don't think it said anything specific. I was kind of like reading through a little bit, but apparently she was a big fan of Wizzard, and
that's so cool.
She was 12. Roy Wood wanted specifically a choir from Birmingham, I think,
Okay.
They were recording not in that city. I can't remember the city that he wanted, but he wanted specifically these kids from a different city. So they went and they had a connection with the choir that they got, and they had auditions. And the little girl, she said that when she found out, her mom wasn't gonna let her because it's these rock and roll guys and like,
oh yeah, these big bearded
yeah,
like, rock and roll dudes.
And she said like I think she told her mom that like she would never forgive her if she didn't let her. And she auditioned, she got it. So they got a bus and they took them out like on a Saturday morning and drove them to the studio. She said she was kind of like bummed because he wasn't in his makeup or anything. It was just him, and they had already like laid down the other tracks, so they were going through it. They did like a few takes, and she said she had a lot of fun. They went to like Hard Rock Cafe afterwards, and he signed some stuff for all of them. But this is a cool experience to be a part of.
I mean, what a dream.
Yeah.
I mean, as a 12-year-old kid, not only to be 12 and do that, but be 12 years old and be into Wizzard.
Yeah.
Like that seems so, and to be like kind of so aware of what's going on that you see that there's somehow, having a casting call for kids. Like that is such a weird, that's really cool. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of it has to do with, I mean, they were bigger in England, bigger in the UK.
Totally.
So yeah. I could imagine this being a situation like this could be the equivalent of like someone doing a song with like the Foo Fighters here now, like.
Yeah, I mean, very much. Yeah, definitely. I guess you kind of look at it in a different lens being from the US, but yeah, I mean, totally. That totally makes sense for sure.
But yeah, it's such a cool song. There's a lot of like they might as well do like an oral history of it because they've got so many good sound bites.
Yeah, I really haven't done much of a deep dive on this song. It's just one that I really enjoy every Christmas. And it's one of those ones where it's a great driving song too.
Yeah.
Like you can put on while you're driving. It's a great like around the house like cleaning, cooking song.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, anything that's like big production wise like that, especially with like heavy sax music in rock and roll it's just great. It evokes like almost like I don't even, not like necessarily a nostalgic factor, but like to make, at least for me, long for a time that I wasn't a part of in a way.
Yeah.
But kind of see it through like maybe like sort of like the lens of like a movie montage or something.
Oh, for sure.
Something like that. Like you can kind of, I think you know what I'm talking about, but like it's one of those things where it just, you can see it passing, has nothing to do with your life. You've never been a part of this at all, but you live in whatever like picture they're painting or whatever. It feels, it's enough to like make you escape for lack of a better term. But yeah.
Yeah, it feels like the Aha music video. Like you're waiting for him to like reach his hand out and like jump into the music video.
Yeah, perfect comparison. Yeah, you're like, when is it gonna be Christmas every day for me?
Yeah.
When is it gonna feel like that? But it does make it feel like that, and that's exactly why I named the playlist Christmas Every Day.
Yeah.
So. And the picture is a photo of me on Santa.
Yeah.
A terrible photo scanned in, but so that was one of the photos that I was going to use for the Christmas single that I did.
Oh, yeah?
It was between that one and then the one that I chose, which is like some Olin Mills photo from the 90s where I'm like holding this. I think it's cut off in the single photo, but it's like I'm holding a glass and it's like got white painted on it, so it looks like a glass of milk. So it's like a prop,
Yeah.
And so I'm just like holding it, like just like a good boy, just like just a good boy. I've got a nice haircut.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, that's the winner right there. Like that's the perfect. Yeah.
That Olin Mills era, like the 90s Olin Mills era is like my favorite. Even the pictures that I'm like embarrassed of.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
I think you can look back on them though, like at least for me, like my mom's got a good amount of them. There's one that's like, if it was a Christmas one, like if there was some, it's taken on a banister. I don't know if you have one like this, but if they had like wrapped some like holly or like tinsel or something around the banister, it's me like this on the banister. It's like the sweetest photo ever. And it would have been the best. I wish I could have used that. But yeah, they definitely made you do some like, poses where you're like, this feels unnatural. Yeah. Like when you're like this, which I've been trying to like make sure my posture is good sitting here. But when you're like this and like kind of, and they're like, all right, now like bring your head up here,
like 90 degrees,
like that, and then turn it like that. Yeah.
There was a couple of years where like either we procrastinated and didn't get an appointment, or my mom just wanted to save some money, and we did some. And we were definitely trying to like, not us, but like my mom was definitely trying to capture the Olin Mills look. There's one where I'm just
Wait, was this when you were a kid? Or
yeah, when I was a kid,
I was like,
for sure.
oh man, that would have been great if this was like an adult thing.
We want to take our dog to go get some at like JCPenney's or something.
You should, like, just for you, right?
Yeah, well, maybe for Christmas cards. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
But I'm literally like, my mom is sitting, we had this like old like chair that looked very like antique-ish. She would sit on there. She was sitting on it, and then I would have like, my brother and I would have like our elbows on
like
top.
Someone's leaning.
Yeah, but we like both like this, and it was like, I guess supposed to look cherubic. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole era was very. It's
did
very
you ever,
fun.
Did you ever do? Did you ever go and do image shots?
No,
Yeah,
I
really?
didn't, and I think I was too shy, and I was at the point where like, if I did it, I'd be embarrassed if none of my friends wanted it. And I didn't have a girlfriend like from middle school, like so.
Well, my mom made me go with my sister.
Oh yeah.
So like, my sister's 4 years older than me, so she's like in middle school, I think, when we went. And it's a great photo. I think we went to Ingram Mall.
Yeah, of course.
And we stood back to back, and then like one of us is like this, and the other one's, I think it's like hands on the hips or something. But the background is like Japanese lettering, but it's like, you know how there's like that almost soap opera like fluorescent style,
the high
like,
density,
exposed. Like it looks so great, and I have like, I look like I was like trying out for like the way I was dressed and the way my hair was. I look like I was like trying out for like, like a young boy band or something. So it was like, you know, when like you used to gel your hair and then like put it down this way and then just like push it up a little bit. Yeah, the duck. Yeah. But it was like little spikes. So it was like that. And I was wearing like, I think like a Hawaiian shirt, like a shift leader at Trader Joe's or something like that. But the funny thing was, is like, so the Hawaiian shirt's like here, and then the shirt I'm wearing underneath it's like so long, the t-shirt, so it's like down to here. So it's like such a bold, like 90s choice.
Oh yeah. What a time to be alive.
I know. But those are those things where it's like, I mean, at the moment it probably felt so cool. And I remember, dude, like we got the little, you get the little pocket photos of those. And like, I was like handing them out at school. Like, this was the coolest thing. I was like, yeah, we did, like we did this. They're like, who's this chick? You don't know her. Yeah. She goes somewhere else. It's my sister.
But yeah, bringing it back to the song, we talked a lot about Phil Spector, and I feel like Phil Spector's sound definitely embodies this type of music for Christmas.
Yeah,
that's what they were going for this song. Keith Smart produced the song, and he said that the first day they worked until like 8 a.m. the next morning just to get the drum sound. Came back hours later, Roy was like, "No, I don't like this," so they did it all over again.
It's so funny how, like, I mean, obviously, as a musician or recording artist, like being pleased with the product is like it's the most important thing, right? But like, you can get so caught up in like the minutia of like how a hi-hat's going to sound. Oh yeah. And you go, nobody cares about this. Like, nobody listening to this is going to be like, man, I wish those hi-hats were just a tiny bit, more compressed or whatever, like those type of things that like you can just absolutely go mad on. But it's really cool. It's cool having a vision, knowing exactly what you want with a piece, and then like trying to execute it. That I think is like very respectable, because I know a lot of times like I've been in the studio and I had an idea for something, or and most of the time it never turned out like the way that I wanted it to. A lot of times because it's either maybe I didn't speak up, or it's just like me just being like, well, I mean, what are we gonna do? We can't like re-record this, unlike Roy would. But I think also too, it has a thing of like I don't want to be difficult too. Oh yeah, it's like sure it's your like vision, but you're just like, this person's really gonna hate me if I go, please play this over again, or like, can we record that, or we have to come back. But that's really cool, and I really respect that a lot. I think that if it makes you happy, the end product, because that's all that matters, right? That's all that like at the end of the day, you know, if you can bear to listen to it, which I know a lot of people aren't like gunning to listen to all their stuff, but like you mix it enough, you're around it enough. It's like, all right, well, it has to sound good to me before I can put this out into the world. So I think that's really cool. I admire him having like just like a through line to his vision. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think he did it in a way that, even though it was probably annoying, wasn't threatening the way Phil Spector used to.
Oh yeah, with a gun.
Yeah. So the next song you picked was a song that I feel I hear it and I have all these visions of like these movies from the 90s, even though it's from the 70s. It was released in 1970.
Yeah.
It's This Christmas by Donny Hathaway. I feel like this is the epitome of a song you would see if there's any commercial where like a little girl is ice skating and her parents come. Like this song is playing in the background, and
yeah,
it's so timeless and it's so iconic, and yet like I don't think enough people talk about it in like, by itself.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't know like the origins of this song, which is fine. But I think the majority of people that know this song know it from the Mary J. Blige version. I feel like that's the one they play a lot of. But I mean, again, that's just like maybe if you heard it on the radio or you didn't like ever do any digging, or maybe I know they do play it on the radio still, but I feel like I always hear other versions that aren't the original. And not to say that like those versions aren't good or anything like that. They all have their own like flavor to it, like style, and everyone brings something cool. As a matter of fact, I think no joke, just recently heard like a Train version of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And honestly, like, I'm not even trying to say that I'm a Train fan, but it sounded really good. Like the production was pretty good. And I'm pretty sure it was Train. I don't know. I mean, it could be wrong, but I was like, oh, okay, this is actually like, that dude can sing pretty well, apparently. I didn't know.
I have a theory. There are certain songs that are written so well, as long as you're playing all the right notes, any cover, I feel like American Girl is like that.
Yeah.
I've never heard a bad cover of American Girl unless they were like not good musicians.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to test that out, dude. Pull out let's get YouTube going. Yeah, I mean, we did, a couple bands that, you know, I played in would do American Girl live, did it our own way, and I don't think we butchered it. So, I mean, like, that's a solid, like, you know, that's a solid song to not butcher. I mean, unbutcherable if you play it the right way, like you said. But yeah, I think I would totally agree with you on that too when it comes to this song in particular.
I think so. I was reading that the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers reported that it is the 30th most performed holiday song of all time. Just looking on the wiki alone, there's about like 6 or 7 like famous covers of it.
Yeah.
You talked about the Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
There is
and her version's great too. Like I think that one is probably the second best version of that song.
Yeah. Christina Aguilera, Usher, NSYNC, Chris Brown.
Oh my! NSYNC did a cover of it.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how that works.
Lady Antebellum, now Lady A, CeeLo Green, and Sabrina Carpenter just recently did it for her Nonsense Christmas special on Netflix.
Oh, wow.
So it's got like this.
I wonder if it's any good. I haven't heard it.
Ongoing presence.
Have you heard it?
No, I haven't. But it was originally released in 1970, but it didn't really catch wind until 1991. It was released on a compilation.
Oh, okay.
I think he died in 79, so he died before it really hit big. But it was on this album called Soul Christmas, and that's where people kind of associate it. And then from there is when it started getting covered like crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Was it? Did it say who put the compilation out? Was it that Atco?
Yeah,
Atco
Records.
Atco, yeah.
Yeah, because they did the original one, and I guess, they brought it back 20 years later.
Which, that is a good way to do it. I mean, also like a Donny Hathaway kind of retrospective in a way too, because, you know, he died so early and definitely before his time, you know. I think like he's put out some just really good. He's a great singer, great singer. It's just, it's very interesting to kind of like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think at the time too, when the original one was published, there's a lot of artists who talk about how it was fresh for like a black artist to put out this type of Christmas song. Before that, I think people associated like with Nat King Cole and the older, that was like 20, 30 years before this. And there were some here and there. I think James Brown had put out like a Christmas album or Christmas song. But this really brought prominence to that era of Black music and having a Christmas song that really, like you said earlier, like being specific but still universal. It's able to kind of transcend culture.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the only thing I can think of that I know Motown did a couple Christmas compilations, and the only other song I could think of that maybe did the same thing was the name of the song's kind of can't remember right now, but the Stevie Wonder song, his Christmas song.
Oh,
the one that's like candles burning low, lots of mistletoe, lots of snow and ice. Everywhere you go. I mean, it's gonna drive me crazy now, but that song is great. I don't know. I can't think of it now.
You're gonna remember as soon as we stop recording.
I know. It always happens. Like in that, like laying down in bed, like just punch it in and post.
Yeah.
No, but that's another one too. And then you have like, in terms of original songs, that's probably like the last one or the only one I can think of. Because you had the Jackson 5 covering like Santa Claus Coming to Town, which was like big one. I don't know if Smokey Robinson did an original Christmas song.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. There were mostly covers. Like there was a lot of Motown covers.
Yeah, and then the Stax stuff.
Yeah, even Nat King Cole's song I think was it Silver? I can't remember what song it was, but he had a really big.
I can't remember either.
Yeah,
this is one of these moments too where you're like, I know all this stuff, man. I know everything. I'm
going to be listening to this and yelling at myself while I'm listening to it.
I know all this stuff. And then when it comes time to know this stuff, I don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I was gonna say, I think that's like, it's tough to pick 5 Christmas songs like that just kind of, I feel like there's so many good ones, obviously, like that are left on the, but these are the ones that I feel like mean the most to me, and then I get the most mileage out of. But yeah, this one in particular has that, that present feeling like the McCartney song does, in that it feels like it's like it's this Christmas. It's right now, like we're going to have a good time. Like this is going to be special, like, regardless of, if it's just a regular Christmas or whatever, which it probably is, but it feels in the moment like a really well done present Christmas song that I feel gives you all those feelings, evokes all those feelings, at least for me, and makes me feel like more in the moment with things, more like celebrating that like presentness. I know that's like probably a theme that's like present across the
presents.
Like,
Christmas presents.
We're presents. Yeah, exactly. Double entendre.
But I mean, I think not just in the sense of feeling present, but the song. You could have told me this was recorded 2 years ago. Yeah, I would have believed you because it feels so contemporary while also feeling like, I don't want to call it like antique or like vintage, but like you could have told me any time in the past 50 years this was recorded, and I'd believe you no matter what year.
Yeah, you picked a year. Yeah, pick a year and you go, it makes sense. Yeah, you go 2010. Okay, probably, maybe, I don't know, but yeah.
His voice, like you said, his voice is just it carries so well to the point where. Hearing him as not being as familiar with him before this, actually, hearing him, it just feels like, like he sounds like most soul singers. Like, no, most soul singers sound like him. Like
100%.
The other way around.
Yeah, there's like, obviously a few that kind of are, up there. Willie Hutch being one of them. He's the guy who he's most famous for, you know who Willie Hutch is?
Yeah.
Oh, he did like I Choose You, which was sampled by Kanye.
UGK.
Or UGK, you're right. And so Willie Hutch is one of them. Curtis Mayfield, obviously, is one of them.
Isley Brothers.
Isaac Hayes, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, has such a distinct, great voice. But yeah, and like the production value of the song is so good. I mean, this is like exactly the perfect 70s drum sound. Like, it sounds amazing. Like, if you just sit there and listen to the drums on this record, you go, like, I'm blown away at And they probably didn't even have like any formula or anything when it came to recording these drums. It's just, they just sound so good. And I feel like that's one of the things, like, as like a recording artist, like I chase all the time, is that, you know, you go, like, we'll reference maybe that song or another Donny Hathaway song or any of like the Stax era, Motown era stuff. All that stuff has like incredible drum sound. And the song is just put together so well. Like, it's, everything comes together. It's one of those things where, like, maybe it could have been mixed wrong, but it's like everything is like right where it needs to be. It sits in the mix so perfectly. I know we're getting like real technical here, but like probably nobody cares about that. But like, just coming from someone who's sat behind a board and like just recorded and records at home, these are the things that you get lost in the weeds about. Like I was saying, like, no one cares about your hi-hat sound. No one cares how your snare sounds except you. So like, it's just one of those things where I appreciate songs even more on that level when I can sit there and, like, you know, you can sit there with like a good pair of headphones and like really dig in and like really get into it and like listen to how they produce stuff, how they arrange stuff, and kind of like single stuff out. And I feel like This Christmas is one of those songs too that the more I hear it, and obviously I'm revisiting it every season here, but I can always like pick things out that are like really cool about it that I maybe didn't hear before, like whether it's like a bass move or like, you know, drum fill, or like how, like, in all honesty, the drums are like so catchy in that song. Them following the chorus, like, it's so good. It's just amazing. I know it's probably not the best thing to be like mouthing music on here, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the first one to do this.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun to kind of get that kind of inside baseball look at from someone who produces it, you know, someone who you have tons of experience doing that.
Sure.
I think of a lot of it like, do you know what kerning is in graphic design?
No.
I'm about to ruin your life, and I'm so sorry. Kerning is the distance it is, like words are from each other.
Okay.
And when there's bad kerning, people don't really pay attention to it, but there'll be like something's really off about it. But when you know what kerning is and you look at bad kerning, it ruins your day. So
no, I totally, I can see that because like the last couple of years I started to get into like, I was starting to make flyers and stuff like that. So I've been doing that just like for fun, or like making up mock-up album art and stuff like that. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I definitely like, I'll hone in on stuff like that only because, well, especially I like uniformed looks on things. So that kind of stuff will for sure bother me. Didn't know it was called kerning.
Yeah. That's just like the distance, but there's also like, if you look at a word in several different fonts, it just starts looking weird.
Yeah.
This is the opposite what you're talking about with music, because I feel like when you can kind of zone in on certain things, it makes you appreciate. So I feel like it makes your day better than having a shitty day from looking at kerning.
But also I can say that it can have the opposite effect for sure, because if it's something that specifically bothers you in a song, then that's like the only thing maybe you can, it will have that effect. It's the only thing you can hear.
Oh, yeah.
Like if, I know I can only speak from my own experience, like with my own material, there are certain songs or parts where I go, man, why did I take that liberty to do that? You know, like, and it bothers me. Like if I hear the song and I go, man, you know, but obviously like I've tried to come to terms with the fact that was a time, and then that's what I did. And that was a choice that I made. So that's cool.
Like a yearbook or like,
yeah, totally. And it's a reflection of, what was going on in that moment, the decisions I made to do that. And that's fine. Like, I've accepted that, but I will say that there are times when I go, oof, man, I didn't hear that. You're like, I didn't hear that the first time, you know, like, it's one of those things too, where it's like, I can hear the song, you know, one of mine in particular, like 2 years, 3 years later, and go, wow, I overlooked that in mixing. So, but yeah, I definitely can see it, and it can have that. You can have both. You can have a balance of both, where you can respect it and be more interested in it, or pick things apart about it and maybe hate it because of this. Obsess over it so bad that you just have to put it away. Like, you just can't revisit it for a long time.
That's actually a great transition to your last song, because the most obsessive person in music history, Spectre.
Great transition.
Yeah, been working on it. So Phil Spector is known for that wall of sound. He co-wrote this song, Christmas, parentheses, Baby Please Come Home.
Yeah.
Most famously performed by Darlene Love. It's so funny. I feel like the last few episodes I've talked about how the Ronettes, I think the Ronettes might be the foundation of rock and roll music as we know it.
Yeah, and I can see that.
And I feel like, sure, Phil Spector gets a lot of the credit for it, and he deserves a lot of credit for it, no matter how much of a horrible person he was. But the women that he recorded, I feel like, and Darlene Love is amongst that. Like the voice, the way her singing just counteracts with the wall of sound. It's so powerful, but it's not over the top.
No, yeah, everything is perfect, and it sits right where it needs to be. Like, it's amazing. And this song in particular has that quality too that I talked about earlier, where like it almost makes you long for a time that you weren't a part of.
Oh yeah. And
you can see those things. You can see like, you know, your family in the kitchen cooking meals, or not your family, but a family, you know, cooking meals, people around the tree or around, you know, taking a drive with your family, or like picking out a Christmas tree, or hanging your stockings, or whatever it is. You take a family photo, awkward family photo by the tree. That's really bad. Or like, you know, just the togetherness and that feeling is like perfectly encapsulated into this song. I think that's kind of like, that is sort of a running theme, I think, with any Christmas song, at least for me. But yeah, it's great. And it's one of the few songs, and I will say this, like at certain points in my day, if I hear this song, or a certain point in my life, it will make me cry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's just so beautifully done. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that the song is so good. Her voice is so good. It just, everything is great. But it's that feeling that it evokes within me personally that makes me feel emotional for just, you know, this time of year. Or it doesn't even have to be this time of year, but it's one of those things that just, it can like reduce me to tears. It's one of the few songs that can do that. And I've been surprised by songs that make me cry. Like I've definitely cried hard, like listening to Wildflowers by Tom Petty. Like maybe whatever I was going through in my life then. But yeah, this is one of those songs where I can be like, yeah, that one for sure has made me just tear up, man. Or you're just welling up, like trying not to really lose it, you know?
Yeah.
Just like driving somewhere. I have a vivid memory of like driving, just being like, man, I'm living in my own movie, you know? Like, obviously it's real feelings that are being conjured up from this song, but like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, is there a camera somewhere? You know, like this is so strange.
That whole era, I feel, is full of that. My favorite sound, we were talking about drum sounds, the timpani on Waiting for the Day on Beach Boys' Pet Sounds.
Yeah.
I just love the way that sounds, where I instantly get I've heard it a million times and I get goosebumps every single time. But I feel that same way about a lot of these girl groups from the 60s. And I didn't realize it till maybe about 10 years ago, where I just felt like the Ronettes, the Crystals, what's the band that she was in? There's just so many of these, the way their voice is just, you can hear so much in it. Even if it's a happy song, it just reverberates through your body.
Yeah. And I think that is like, as a you know, a performer, musician, songwriter, that's like the ultimate compliment. Like if you can evoke that kind of feeling from somebody, whether it's just one person, like that makes writing music all worth it. Whether or not that person tells you or you know about it, to think that could happen, or the experience that you've had with other people's music and you put music out and they have that experience, the same experience as well. That's like priceless. That's more important than anything, I think. You know, monetarily even. So it's it's a dream. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I think this song is kind of a testament to that, because it didn't do very well when it first was released. And it didn't actually hit the Billboard like Hot 100 until December 2018. It was released initially in 63.
Yeah, 63. Wow. I know that it was Dave Letterman's favorite song.
Yeah.
And he had Darlene Love come on like every year for like 30 years or something.
86 to 2014.
Wow. Yeah. I remember that. And I didn't see all of them or anything like that. Obviously I wasn't born in 86. But I have seen quite a few of them. And I remember like thinking, whoa, that's really cool. Like they have, and it's cool to see like I think over the years, probably, if I can remember correctly, the production value of the performance had gone up like immensely.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So like, I'm pretty sure like by the time they get to was it 2014?
Yeah.
Or later 20 teens, that they have like a full Phil Spector wall of sound type thing going on, you know, which is incredible. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, I think that's, I don't know if anybody now does that like on late night, but it's really cool.
It's a cool tradition. She's somebody who, like, I didn't know her name like outright before, you know, you sent this playlist over, but that voice, and then like, there's been so many covers of this, and there was a Phil Spector decided he wanted to capitalize on the song, so he made like a universal version called Johnny, Please Come Home, Baby, Please Come Home.
Yeah.
And Cher actually did backing vocals on that.
Oh, really?
And they actually performed that song together about 20 years ago, like live, her and Darlene Love.
This is before Cher had any like notoriety or anything.
I think so. Like I think it was either right when she was coming up, or this is actually the second episode we talked about Cher in a row too, because we talked about Sade and there was a Cher connection. I love learning about all these connections, especially when before they were like who they were.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's kind of like a really cool one is Luther Vandross. He was a backup singer on Station to Station, David Bowie's record.
Oh, really?
And Fame. Yeah, I think it was like before he was like, you know, he had any big, you know, any type of people were paying attention to him. He was like a backup singer on that record.
Oh,
and
wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went on tour with him. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it was like during the like Young Americans and Station to Station, I think those two records.
Okay.
Where he's like doing his like Thin White Duke era kind of thing, where he's like slick back hair, super into cocaine and milk and peppers or whatever.
Yeah.
So, by the way, David Bowie's like the only person I've ever seen who can make drinking out of a carton of milk look really cool. So strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where that's what I immediately thought of as like a young Luther Vandross is like singing along with Bowie songs, which is like so cool.
Hendrix playing for Little Richie, or not Little Richie, Little Richard.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that.
But yeah, this song has become timeless.
Yeah.
It's the Blossoms was the band that she was in. She was a lead singer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then she met Phil Spector. They started recording together in '62.
I think she's still kicking around. Huh?
Yeah, she is.
Still alive.
She looks great too.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen videos of her performing the songs over the years, and yeah, she looks incredible. Like, I mean, doesn't look like she's aged at all. Like, time has been great to her.
Yeah.
She's drinking milk or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that with this song, this is like the perfect like closing credit song. This could be a good like funeral song if, you know, like.
I completely agree. This is what a way to go out. And I sequenced this playlist exactly the way that I wanted it to be heard.
I could tell.
And sequencing is a big thing for me too. I mean, I love records. I love how people sequence stuff. And a lot of the things that people don't think about going into records is sequencing, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And how songs sit on a record and how, especially when it's like sequenced specifically for vinyl, you know, you have your A starter, A ender, B
your
opener.
intermission.
Yeah, you have all that stuff. And I did that exactly with this. Like you open up with Petty, which is like you get this frenetic, it's kind of in your face, but it's also like upbeat and cool and fun. And then Wonderful Christmastime kind of like brings it down a bit and it's a little weird, but it, you know, it gets you in the mood. And then we bring it back up with the production of Roy Wood, Wish It Would Be Christmas Every Day. And then you kind of bring it back down with Donny, and then you close it out with Darlene Love. And I think that I didn't do it because it was Dave's Christmas song and he would do it like that. I just did it because, like you said, you pointed it out yourself. It is a great ender.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great ender for a night, like, you know, a long night, or if you've gone to a Christmas party or whatever it is. I'm speaking, not to go back like too hard on it, but the Donny Hathaway song has a specific moment in that song. I don't know if you remember it, but it's when they kind of fade it out and they fade it back in at the end.
Yeah.
That's like, I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody had mentioned that it's like the perfect moment of when you're leaving a party and you look back and you can kind of like see what's going on, but the music is maybe muffled a little bit. And then you just like recognize that and then you leave. And that's like a poignant, beautiful moment to think about. Like, how beautiful and like, a backwards glance can be like that.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like that Donny Hathaway song does that, and so does this one. So you can kind of like walk out, look back, and like it's a movie moment, if you will, you know.
Oh
like,
yeah.
And just kind of, you know, smile, and then you're off, and you're gone. You know,
it feels like your spirit leaving your body. And
yeah.
looking back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's spiritual. It gets you in the spirit, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. It just feels like a moment in time captured so well, that for me, it feels timeless in that way. Yeah,
definitely. It's so funny because I could tell, and I feel like knowing what I know about you, I definitely made sure to listen to this in this order.
Oh, cool.
I accidentally put it in shuffle and it felt weird. So
what did it start with? Do you know?
I don't even remember. It was in the car because I've had it on the car off and on. You sent it to me a while back, so it's been.
I can imagine if you started it out with "Wonderful Christmastime," how you're like, I don't know, man.
But yeah, that brings us to the end. We always like to give some time to talk about songs that didn't make the five. Yeah, I'm sure you've got a huge list, but
I mean, I don't necessarily want to like single any of them out, but I mean, I'm a big fan of Christmas music. You know, like all of like the classic Burl Ives songs, Bing Crosby stuff. Springsteen's Santa Claus is Coming to Town, not an original song, but it always makes me feel like it's such a weird song because he like opens it up and he talks about like he's asking everybody if they've been good. You know, it's so weird and creepy, but I love it. It's strange. And then the Stevie Wonder song, which now I still can't remember what it's called. That one was another one as well. And then Ding Dong too was a great one. We stuff that we haven't like covered, but specifically, like I mentioned, was that I really wanted to come from a place that was like original Christmas songs, just because it kind of coincided exactly with what I did, which was write my own original Christmas song.
Available everywhere you listen to music.
Yeah, but it's just I really wanted to kind of shout out those people who they don't need the shouting out, but to kind of like, you know, especially like Tom Petty's song or maybe more specifically Roy Wood's Christmas song, which I'm pretty sure I feel like a lot of people maybe haven't heard, and I think it should be heard. It's a great song. Like I think it should be added to anybody's holiday playlist, and it should be added to like whatever local station here plays Christmas music. It needs to be on their rotation. Needs to be on shopping mall rotation. It's great, and I'm pretty sure it would sound great in mono. You know, like I don't know if it was recorded mono, but it probably sounds amazing in mono. But yeah, I mean the list is endless. Obviously, the whole Phil Spector Christmas record is so good. That's like a staple at our house. Put that record on. Listen to it front to back, front to back, front to back. You know, keep flipping it over. And then I will say, for anybody that hasn't heard Bob Dylan's Christmas album, Christmas in the Heart, have you heard it?
No, I don't think so.
You got to give it a go because it's like late era Bob Dylan. So it's like, this record came out in like 2009. So this is like, you know, raspy Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, sleigh bells ring. So it's like that era, you know? Like kind of like Time Out of Mind when he starts... I don't know if you're familiar with that era of him, but that's when I feel like that's kind of like when he starts singing like that or like a rasp. And he does a cover of Must Be Santa. Do you know that song?
I think so.
It's like the song where they like, I don't remember what the style, it's kind of like in the style of like a drinking song where like they list stuff off, and then the more stuff they list off, they like list it off backwards.
Oh, okay.
And they come back to it, and then they sing the chorus. So it's like really makes you feel like kind of disjointed and kind of weird because you don't remember what the last thing was, and you feel drunk already just listening because you're like, a cap on head, suit that's red, must be Santa. But he does a cover of that song, and it's like a polka version.
Oh, really?
And it's like the song is already long because of that, but he makes it's so fast because of the polka ish of it that like the song's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something because it's like dunk, 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 it's like
a Weird Al thing.
Yeah, but it's really good, I promise. And like if you can get past like the campy like part of it or like whatever, and if you listen to it, please watch the video for it because it is. I mean, speaking of frenetic, it's just wild. Like, they're in a house and they're like partying, and there's like these random cuts all over, and it's cutting to Dylan, and Dylan is wearing this like, I don't know, like this dyed like silver like peppery kind of wig, and it's like kind of covering one eye, and it's like a long bob, so it's like cut off right here with a hat. It's the strangest choice. Like that photo of him where he's like. I don't know who he was trolling, but he was trolling somebody where he has like the beanie and like the bangs. Yeah,
he was trolling Chalamet, I think.
Oh, really?
Either that or Chalamet was paying homage to that because I saw that recently.
Oh, okay. So yeah, no. So he did that like way before, and so Chalamet I think was doing a version of like just like an homage to him. But I don't remember who he was trolling at then. But I feel like it was probably around this time that he did the Christmas record because like he was. Definitely taking the piss out of somebody when he did that. You got to watch it, and when you do, you're gonna like. I think you'll really enjoy it and really get what I'm trying to say because I'm not doing it any justice. I hope I do any of these songs justice by talking to them if anybody didn't know what they already were. But please check out "Must Be Santa," Bob Dylan's version, the music video.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have anything other than the song that you just released? Anything else you want to plug?
I have a recording project. It's called Freund. That's a German word for friend. And it's me and my friend Pat Shoei. And we have we did a full-length record earlier this year. We recorded it up in Elgin and had it mixed and mastered here in San Antonio. And it comes out January 7th next year, 2025. It's called Dweller, and it's like a fusion of like shoegaze and krautrock music. So we're taking swings.
Oh yeah. Awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and thanks for talking Christmas music.
I feel very grateful, and I am happy to be a part of it, and it was really fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to Mixtape Stories.